What is up, guys, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Amy Kate and this is my husband JD and our beautiful little baby boy Taj, who's currently 2 weeks old and 4 days.
4 days.
So today's video is going to be all about sitting down and talking to you guys about our birth, giving you guys a little bit more information around the birth, because we did film the birth but there was so much that we obviously could not film. Obviously over 12 hours putting that into a 20-minute video, you guys did miss a lot. Alright, so let's jump straight into this video, but let's first of all rewind back the clock back to when my waters broke. My waters just broke. So on March the 12th at 6:25 in the morning, JD was actually going to go to work that morning.
I was literally getting ready to walk out the door and I was in the bathroom. I heard Amy Kate scream out. She goes, "Babe, come here, come here, come here." I'm like, what's going on? And then
I was just lying in bed and all of a sudden it just felt like, literally like you pee yourself. That's pretty much how it kind of feels, and it was all through the bed. Luckily, we've actually got a mattress protector on our mattress we only picked up the other day off Jesse's parents.
That is a life hack. Get a mattress topper if you are pregnant.
100%, because you will ruin your mattress. As soon as I looked down though, I could tell straight away I had meconium. Jesse was trying to be like, no, it's not. I'm like, babe, it's like green. It's kind of like a greeny color. So I called my midwife twice. I couldn't get onto her actually, my actual midwife. So then I ended up calling a different midwife and then I told her. Jesse actually spoke to her on the phone because I was a little bit stressed.
Just told her the basic situation, what we were at. We had meconium in the waters.
We actually sent her a picture.
Yeah.
Midwives don't care. Like,
no.
You seriously have the best bond when you have midwives, because they just don't care. They've seen it all. So don't ever feel too embarrassed or too scared to like send anything to your midwife or tell or mention anything to your midwife. They don't mind.
And they've seen it all before.
So yes, that's when we knew that we had meconium in my waters. I then started to panic a little bit because my midwife said, "Have you felt the baby move since your waters broke?" And to be honest, I didn't really feel Taj move that much once my waters broke. If it was kind of really tiny, and I started to panic once again, and I was just lying down trying to get Taj to move, and I felt little slight movements, but that still freaked me out, not knowing. So we ended up jumping in the car at around...
Got to the hospital at 8 o'clock under the midwife's instructions due to the meconium, so we had to be monitored throughout the whole process, which meant we didn't get the water birth either that we were hoping for. But got to the hospital. I think it was great.
I don't mind that we didn't get the water birth.
Yeah, I think it was fine. But then, we got to the hospital and hooked you up to a monitor.
Well, when we got to the hospital, we didn't really quite know what the process was going to do, like what was going to happen throughout the day. And me being like, I'm a bit of a control freak, so I like to know what's going on. So the fact that I had no control, had no idea how the day was going to go or the night, and it just started to really make me panic a little bit about like, okay, am I going to get induced? Is this going to end up in a cesarean? Like, I really had to just let go and surrender and just go, okay, I can't control this, and if I do try and control this, it's going to make me stress more and my body is not going to respond. I got to a point where I was just like, hey, I've just got to surrender, and I totally did. We ended up getting a how do you say?
Cannula.
Cannula. I keep saying cannula. So I popped into my arm. They hooked me up to a drip. Very little oxytocin. I think they started me on 1 mil.
1 mil over hour duration.
Yeah.
For the first 2 hours, and then she slowly went up a mil.
So it was very, very low. I still felt like my body was in control and it was still doing things naturally. So you could monitor the machine and you could see when your contractions were coming, and they were very regular and they were quite frequent as well. I think I only had like 5 minutes between my contractions. At the start it was probably like 10, so 10 minutes, and then they gradually got to like 5 minutes for hours. Like, though I was not getting a break really at all. In between they started to intensify and I started to really get to the point where I was like, oh my god, how much longer am I going to do this for, because I don't want to get tired once I start to push. I just wasn't getting a break and I started to panic a little bit. First of all, I laboured on the bed, just sitting over the bed and sometimes holding on to Jesse. I found that was probably my favourite position at the start, standing. Once I hit active labour, I couldn't really stand with my contractions because it just felt like your legs were going to give way and it was really jelly. That's when we moved to the seat.
Seated position, yeah.
Seated position, which I liked.
Which is, you would have seen it in the birth vlog, that's how she gave birth.
Yeah.
So that was your favourite in the end.
I was kind of just like trialling different positions to see what I wanted to do when I wanted to give birth, because at that stage I had no idea. So then we moved on into the shower, and personally I didn't really like the shower that much.
No.
Only because like I felt bad for Jessie and the midwife because they were just squirting me with like hoses, and I had to get the midwife, she was a student midwife, she had to go and put gumboots on because she was getting saturated, and it was just really hard for me to hold on to this like flimsy chair. My legs were like shaking.
It wasn't that pleasant.
It wasn't comfortable.
Despite the midwife's best attempts to make it as pleasant as possible,
Yeah.
it just didn't feel right for Amy. So then we went out of there and then back to the chair, kneeling position where you gave birth, and it was oxygen time, wasn't it?
No, that was when I asked for the
Morphine.
That was the point where I was like getting quite scared, and I hadn't been checked at this stage, and I started to panic and just go, I can't handle this. When you get to that peak, like anyone who's had the contractions, when you get to that peak, that's when your mind plays tricks on you, and you're just like, I can't do this, nah, get me the epidural, get me all the drugs. And your mind seriously like plays the biggest tricks on you. So that's when I said to my midwife, I was like, I want an epidural, I can't handle this. And I'll admit that's what I said. Luckily my midwife knows that I didn't want the epidural when I was with it. I told her, look, if I say I want the epidural, make the call and know that only give it to me if I really need it and you think that I'm not going to be able to progress. And she knew that I could progress. Everyone knew that I could handle it, so they kept not really denying me it, but like telling me that
diversion. I'd say diversion was the appropriate word.
Yeah.
We tried to divert her with other things, and then we discussed morphine.
Yeah.
Because the intensity of the contractions obviously were increasing in the active labour.
Yeah,
and the problem was that Amy wasn't having a big break in between. The contractions were so solid and so frequent that her poor body was just like not getting any break.
Yeah.
Like, and not to mention like she hadn't really eaten much either.
No. Yeah. So that's when my midwife said, look, we'll check you and we'll see where you're at, and if you I've got ages to go, we'll give you the epidural or we'll talk about morphine. But if you're really close, like if I was dilated a lot, let's just leave it. She didn't even tell me how many centimeters I was. I was thinking I was around 6 or 7 centimeters. Found out that a couple of days later I was actually at 3 centimeters. If I found out I was 3 centimeters, I probably would have got the epidural because I was just like, I don't know how much longer I've got to go, even though I didn't have that much longer to go. So she said, look, I can feel the baby's head and everything's good. She just didn't tell me how many centimeters I was. So that's when I got the morphine, and to be honest, it didn't really work that much. I thought it would work more than what it did.
It just gave me a break
in between.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it took the pain away.
No.
I'd just say that the rests in between became more, you were actually resting more. Yeah.
I was more calmer in between the contractions.
Definitely. Your mindset was so much better in between contractions, which then allowed you to take on the contractions like properly.
I think if I didn't get that morphine, I probably wouldn't have been able to labour like I did.
And getting it at the right time as well, guys, was a massive influence of it, because if you leave it too late, obviously the pain threshold's already through the roof, it's not going to do anything, but we got it just in time. And it was
timing, and I'm so glad I did. It doesn't, everyone's saying, oh, you did it all natural, and this is why I wanted to explain this video. I didn't do it completely natural, but I did it the best way that I possibly could on the outcomes. So.
And at the end of the day, like, the main thing we said was we were open to every single option. We didn't go in there with a, I think it's important to not go in there with a plan and just say, no, we're doing this, because variables come into it, like the meconium, we didn't plan on that.
No.
And also the fact that, like, it's okay that she had morphine, because it meant that Amy got the rest, which meant she was less stressed, because that's a big thing. If you are stressed out, your baby's going to feel that stress as well. So you want to be in the most calm state you can.
Definitely. My headspace was better, and I think that's what helped with my headspace, with my breathing, and then towards the end of the labour as well, I think it's what got me through it. After that, I was a bit worried, because I was like, this morphine isn't even working. And then I got back down on that chair and I just asked for the gas because I needed something to breathe, and I didn't really like the gas, to be honest. It did make me very foggy and dizzy as well. It didn't make me feel sick. Some people will say that they feel nauseated on it. So in the end, I only breathed it in a couple of times. I was more using it as a device to concentrate on my breathing, which I 100% say, if you don't want to breathe in the gas, don't breathe it in. You don't have to. Breathe through your nose and breathe out with the tube. And it helped so much with my breathing and concentrating. I don't know, I really enjoyed breathing with the gas machine, not actually breathing in the gas. I actually asked for Jessie's parents to come in, and my mum. I got to a stage where I started to like panic, and I wanted family there, which is so weird, because at the start I was like, I don't want anyone there, I just want it to be me, Jessie and the midwife. Ended up being like a massive show, like there was heaps of people there, and it's just so crazy. You go in with all these intentions and then they kind of just go out the window when you're in that type of state. So Jesse's mum came in the room and said hello to me, but then she went out. My mum came in the room and then my mum said, do you want me to stay for the birth? And I said yes, because I had her over my chair and I was holding on to her. Jesse was behind me, which was really good because that's where he got to catch Taj, and I really needed something to grip onto. My whole body was shaking. Like, I was literally, every push was pushing using every single muscle and fiber in my body. I was just like, yeah, I'm doing this. And I just kept repeating this affirmation in my head, and that was, every wave brings me closer to my baby. I kept repeating that in my head, and every contraction that I come and I felt that peak, I pushed, and I just knew that every push would get me closer as well. So as the head started to come out, that's when the midwife said, Jesse, do you want to catch him? And it was just the best outcome. Like, I seriously wouldn't change anything about the way we birthed in the end. Like, I don't care that we didn't have the bath. I envisioned being in that position, giving birth in the bath, but take away the bath, I still got that same position. You still got to catch him.
It was perfect. Wouldn't
change a thing at all. So if you guys are really worried about like not sticking to your birth plan or being induced, I highly recommend just to surrender, guys. It's not something that we can control, and when we do, just let go and just go with the moment. Trust in your body and trust in your baby, and your body knows what to do, and so does your baby. So trust in it, and you will have a beautiful birth no matter how you birth your baby. Biggest advice we can give is to just go in open-minded. Yeah. Because we did that from the get-go, and it made the biggest difference. Because, you know, if you get set in your ways and it doesn't go your way, you get disappointed. Yeah. So we just saw it as like it's all happening in divine time, the way it's supposed to happen. Yes. Yeah, you are. So after we gave birth to little Taji, we had the family come in and meet him, and we didn't get to do delayed cord clamping actually. We'll quickly talk about that. When he come out, he was quite gurgly, and my midwife was trying to delay it, but it got hard because he wasn't really crying, but he wasn't really a crying baby at the start. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it. You would have heard it in the birth vlog, like the first breath was pretty loud and then gargly, but then the second was even worse, and you could just hear the fluid. Yeah. And the doctor said, hey, he's sounding a bit gurgly, can we you know, take him over to the table and get a bit of a tube down his throat to suck it up? I'm like, yeah, whatever you got to do, just... Yeah. That was a no-brainer. I was like, I would have loved to do delayed cord clamping, but not at the risk of him not breathing and having the fluid on his lungs. Especially with the meconium, because they said like then it can be an infection of the lungs. Yeah, that was a no-brainer. Yeah, so he went up and got the fluid out of his lungs. I had to stand up and I had to birth the placenta. I did get the needle for that just because I just wanted to get it out, and I didn't think, I just wanted to get it out. So that was easy. There was no pain or anything. That was really quite easy to do. Bob come back over to me, straight onto skin to skin, and yeah, we tried breastfeed. Not long after that, he pretty much latched straight away. But as you guys know, he had a bit of a tongue tie, so he wasn't latching the greatest, but still, straight away, like no crying or anything. He just was looking around at everyone. The family come in, and everyone was just so amazed at how much. Yeah, the nurses and that couldn't believe how alert he was, like how awake he was. Watching everyone and like looking at everything. It was so funny. All right, he's getting hungry, so we're gonna wrap up this video. I hope we covered everything. That was really hard to do with Taj. Hopefully it doesn't scare anyone, and hopefully you guys took a bit of information out of this too. Just go with it. Yeah. Be open-minded and trust in your body and your baby, because our bodies are incredible, girls. Like seriously, I'm so amazed at the human body and how quickly we can heal afterwards. And yeah. Take home point for partners as well, from a male perspective, make sure you are there to provide support as much as possible, because 100%. It is an intense experience. And you need to be there for your partner throughout the whole thing, you know, whether don't complain or anything, whether that's, you know, getting them, like I was just trying to feed Amy Kate coconut water, that's a good one to take. Really, really take coconut water and give her sips of that, and just like little nibbly stuff if you can. Protein balls, like little balls. And just something as simple as having your hand on their back and rubbing their back for them throughout it, like it makes a big difference. Encouraging them as well. I really loved, like I had the midwives always saying, you're doing such a great job. And that reassurance is massive. Like you just need to be reassured all the time. So don't hold back on reassuring your partner. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, and make sure you guys hit the notification bell as well so you guys get notified every time we upload. But for now, we'll see you guys in the next one.
to